Yep. Good evening, everyone. So yesterday we stopped discussing about this formic. I will tell you some changes what happened in the version, how to handle them. Actually, new versions, some changes, old version, some deprecated things are there. I will show you that process actual. What happened here is formic, general formic have formic with HTML elements. A separate concept is there, and formic with formic components separate is there. That means we have some attributes divided clearly for two. That means they designed formic for HTML elements and they designed formic for formic components. And in the latest version, they made some changes in them. Some old features they modified. So, and some features they made available only for a component. So, which we will see now. I will show you that. Means now we need to learn two things: how to handle formic validation with HTML elements and how to handle with formic components. What is difference between them? Let's see example here. So example is formic with HTML elements. In formic HTML elements, what you can do is here we can first define. First step, what you have to do is you have to configure formic with use formic hook. That is the first thing you have to do. After that, so you have to configure schema, validation schema with yup. Validation schema you have to define by using yup. Formic you have to define by using formic hook. And what you have to do is bind the formic values with HTML elements by using we have to use the syntax. Yesterday I showed you formic dot get field properties. Get field properties, and we have to give the field name. So field name, this we have to do for HTML elements. For HTML elements, this is the process how you need to configure. Slight changes they have made. For HTML elements, if you want to bind any formic value, then you have to just use get field properties. Let's see this example, how we can handle validation formic with yup and using HTML elements. So for that, I will give a simple option in this formic validation. Let's create everything here, export. So function and formic validation. That is the component. This is a formic validation. And it will return a simple form. Let's create a class container fluid. Okay. Let's meanwhile start this npm start. Okay. Now here we are defining the fields. We are creating a simple heading. So this is like register. And here we are creating a simple form. In this form, we are defining data list. In the data term, username. And we have data definition. Input type is text. Okay. Now in this, yep. Similarly, data term is age. Another data definition. Input type is equal to text. And this. One more data term is mobile. And data definition input type is mobile text. Okay, we have a button and this button is register. Okay. Now we want the validations to define for these fields. So what are the two techniques we are having? With formic, we can simplify. Already yesterday we discussed that we can have a schema. In the schema, how to configure is, you see, we are first importing. So we have to import, what we have to import, use formic. From formic, we have to import and we need to import. So asterisk as yup from yup. So this is another, all schemas must be imported from yup. Here we need to create, so constant formic, use formic. In that we need to configure initial values. What are initial values? We have username, which is string. We have age, which is number, and we have mobile, that's also string. And we need here to configure another one is validation schema. Validation schema is using an yup dot what object. We have to use an app object. So how validation schema uses yup object? We need to configure here. So what is it? So yup dot what object. In that we need to configure all the properties. This is directly defined. So validation schema is using yup dot object. In that we will define all the properties. What are those? Username, what it will use? Yup dot what type? String. And we have, so this is required. Required is username required. And another is, we have min is sum 4. So name to short, min 4 characters. And another is max, that is 10. Name to long, so max 10 characters. That's all we define. Now another property we need to define is age. Age is yup dot what number. And here we are defining, it is also required. That means age required. That is the message. One more, we are defining mobile. It is yup dot string. And this is defined with mobile also required. This is mobile required. And one more option is matches with regular expression slash plus 91 and slash D 10 digits, and put a message invalid mobile. So plus 91 and 10 digits, like this we are giving. This is all the validation schema. After defining validation schema, you have to write, so on submit. On submit, it should collect the values and it should return alert JSON.stringify, and we will put all the values. Now, how these are binded with these elements? That means how to bind with these elements. So first, as per the formic rules, every element should have a name. This name is value name, username. This is name, it is age. And this name is what? Mobile. Previously, what we done? How to get the values when user is typing? and how to verify the values. For that, we have used on change formic dot handle change previous level. But now we don't need that. Simply in this, you can put a binding expression. We can access formic. So we can access formic. Formic have a method get field properties. Get field properties. In this, which field properties we have to give the field name user. That means it will get all its properties and attach to this username. That means handle change, handle blur, everything will attach. Now you don't need to separately write formic dot handle change. In previous level, what we done, on change formic dot handle change, we attached that. But now we don't need that. Just we need to attach field properties. That means in this field, whatever the properties are defined, those will be attached. Both validation properties will be attached and the basic properties also attached. Now just we need to display error message. So below this, we want to display error message. Class name, text what, danger. Here error message is same. We have to access by using formic have an errors object. In that, which one, username. That's it. This is one new reference technique they created in formic. Now you have to attach the field properties to the text boxes. Text boxes drop down anywhere. That means now what we have to do, age. Age also we have to access what, formic dot get field properties. Which one, age. That's it. And the error message, we will display class name, text danger, and the error message is formic. Formic dot. So we have errors from where, age. That's displayed. Here also we need to attach, what is it, formic. Formic dot get field properties, in that mobile. And error message we will display below. Class name, text danger, and the error message will come from formic dot errors dot mobile. And on register button click, we need to handle submit. We have to just define on submit is equal to formic dot handle submit. These are the options you need to define. Now when I click enter, so that means let's open this and see here. Formic validation component. So this is formic validation, formic spelling, right? Yeah. And this is the formic validation component. And here I clicked on register, then it will fire up those messages. Because here default value is there 0. So it is not showing the message. I entered some username now. I'm entering some username. It is too short. Now it is fine. You are entering, then it is too long. Now this is fine. Age is required. I entered some age, must be a number. I entered some age, that is fine. Mobile, it is invalid mobile because it is to be started with the plus 91, and that is fine. I click on register, then it will submit that form data and display. It will handle all the validations perfectly. Now, if age is not entered and I click register, it is not submitting the form. It is controlling it. The form is not submitted until or unless all validations are passed. So that is the advantage of this. Inbuilt, it will do everything. Just you need to define the age. Now it is fine. Register, it will submit. If any validation fails, then it cannot submit the form. Right? This is one concept of how formic with which type of elements? HTML. And how we can display error messages. Error message is binded by using simply we have to use formic dot errors dot field name. We have to use the field name. That is how we need to define. This is one example. We can make it more simple. Actually, previously how it was, previously validations how we were doing, instead of using this get field properties, what we have to do, for every element you have to write on change. On change is formic handle change. Now we can apply the field properties, it will manage. We can do it more simple way. By using another one is formic with formic validation with formic components. Let's see how we can do. Yesterday already I told you formic components. What are the formic components? We have formic and we have a form, we have a field, and we have an error message. By using this we can handle. But how to design that syntactically? We need a formic. This formic will have initial values as property. It will have another validation schema as property, and it will have on submit as a property. Now inside this formic, we have to create, this is actually formic. Inside formic, we have to create a form element. This is not HTML form. This is a formic component. In this formic component, we can define field. This field actually just refers to name of field name. This is only field name, nothing else. And it refers type. Type is text or anything. Text, password, these are types. If it is radio, if it is checkbox, then if it is drop down, we don't have type. We have to use as. That means we need to create like this. We need to create field as what? Select. We have to use select. If it is select, usually it will have what? Options. It will have options, and we need to define the options and close the field. If you want to display error message, just we have to keep error message and name for which field name error message. That's it. This is how we can make it more simple. This is actually formic components. Let's see how this works. That means without using HTML elements, you can use all formic components and we can make the validation more simple. Let's see. But we can keep the validation more simple. The schema is same. Schema you have to write, because without writing what to validate, you cannot validate. The schema is same. Okay, let's see how to do. Just simple. Now I will create another one. That means I will add one more component. I will add a new folder. Okay. Formic components. Formic components is the example. I will add a new file, formic components.js. Components.js. Okay, let's create here export function formic components formic components. Okay, it will return here. So a presentation. So class container fluid. Now here designing with components is little different. How? See, first we will import. So we will import use formic from the formic, and we will import. So that is asterisk as yep from yep. Okay, these two are defined. Now here we need to design a form. So I will say register user. This time we don't use any HTML elements. We directly use a formic. We have to import that formic. That means from the formic library, actually we have to import formic. We have to import form. We have to import field. We have to import error message. These all things we need to import. Now formic have some important properties. What are the properties? Here we will write initial values. Initial values same. What are the initial values we have? Username. So initial value username, we are defining username. What is the username type? String. Because now you are defining in a formic component. We are defining in a formic component. This is an object now. That means this is dynamic. This is dynamic. In this dynamic, what we have to do, we need to put an object. That object will have user name. Username is string type. Age is number type, and mobile is also what type? String. These are initial values in formic. Initial values. Now in formic we have to put validation schema. Validation schema, it equal to binding. It uses yep dot object. This yep object in validation schema, you have to mention yep object with same rules. Rules I will copy from previous. Same rules na. Username, mobile and all same rules. I will copy the rules same. That means username and age, all these are same. That means it is using same concept. One more thing you need to define here. Okay, this is validation schema. One more option we have to define. What is it? On submit. On submit is equal to, we have to collect what? Values, and we need to put alert. What is it? JSON dot stringify. What we have to print? Values. Now what is specialty here is, now in this formic component you mentioned all. Now your UI becomes very simple. Here put a dynamic expression. You need to put a form, and in this form just we will put a data list and a data term. This is username. For username text box, we need to just define here a field, and nothing much. This field name is, it should be for which one? It should be for username. And what is the type? Type is what? Text. That's it, nothing else. You don't need any another binding. Just you have to mention the username and type. This is the advantage of component. You don't need any another type of bindings. Actually, previous what we done, we need to bind formic, get field properties, handle change and all. Now here we don't need that. Now how you will display error message? Simple. We have error message component, and this error message should be for which field? Name is equal to what? Username. That's it. If you want to apply some class name, you can apply. That is text what? Danger. This is just we need to configure. Now similarly we are using a data term. Data term is age. Data definition, we have to create a field. This field is what? Type. Type is what? Text. And this is for whom? This is for age. Similarly, we have a data definition. Data definition will have an error message. This error message name is what? Age. And class name is text danger. like this. Now, this is more simplified validation. But remember, schema is same. Without writing schema, I don't know what to validate, right? But your UI becomes more simplified now. Just you need to use the components. Let's put a data term. So this is mobile and data definition. And here we need to keep, so field, we need to keep a field. And this field is name as mobile. And this have a type. Type is what? Text. Okay, now another data definition. And in this error message is for name. The name is mobile. And the class name is text danger. Okay, this is how we configure. Now we will put a button here. Button is what? Register. Now, what about on submit? I am not writing any on submit here. I am not defining any on submit initially here. Let's see. Now the form is ready. I will make this formic component in the startup. In this, what we will do, formic component, that is in the startup. Now the formic components appearance will be like this. This is register user. I click on register button, it is showing. Right. So I hope that properties not applied a class. This component is using, it is not enabled to use bootstrap class. Then we will put here where it is. We will put in the data definitions. This class name is here what? Data definition. The class name we are applying for data definition. Data definition uses the class name text danger. Okay. Now you can see I click on this, then it will display like this. And I am entering the details. You see age required. I am entering the details. All validations are same. All validations are same. It is similarly working. I click on register, it submits. I haven't written on submit also. On submit I given, but on submit event I haven't written because form knows that it can submit. That means what we written in this logic here in the UI, what we written only form. There is no on submit, but it knows what to collect on submit. It will collect the values and it will submit those values. This validation is more simplified when compared to the previous. Previously, what we were doing, we were using HTML elements. Formic with HTML elements. Better use formic with formic component. But how to design different components controls, you have to check in that official site. Means radios, checkboxes and all. They may keep on changing. You keep in touch with that. Actually, suppose I want a drop down, then here I am writing data term. Suppose this is city. How to create a drop down data definition? I am using field. This field don't have type now. We cannot use type. Type is what? Select. I am trying that type select. So that means it says object. It is not type. We have to keep it as what? As select. So as select have to keep this in the form of a drop down. Now in that we can keep options. That means we can keep an option. Option Delhi. So the option Hyderabad like this. Now, very important, sometimes people ask this question like, how do we write events for these fields? Can we write the same on change, on click like events for these fields? Yes. These formic components will support synthetic events. If they support synthetic events, that means you can configure what is it on change. You can write on change what functionality. That means suppose city change, that is the functionality to perform. So here we are writing a function. We are writing a function what city change. And see here, suppose I am using event argument alert. So e dot target dot value. That is the event argument we are referring. This is the change event written for that. And here I select the city, it will display. Even it is a formic component, you can use in the same way how you used a HTML element. HTML element. All these events are same. You validate your fields and options, everything is similar. That is what you can do here. So there are so many levels you have seen. What is that first level? Write with direct React forms technique. It's a lengthy process. Reduce that by using formic. But formic, we need validation function. To reduce validation function, validation schema. For that we used yup. With validation schema, we can use formic with HTML, but it requires get field properties. You can try formic with formic components. It will be more simple. Directly you have to bind only field name. Automatically all validations, all interactions it will manage. Just you need to bind with the field names and you need to design in this way. This is the concept of how we can use formic with the help of form components, right? So I will give this example for that. Here, one more point is there. Actually, there are so many techniques for this. I will copy. This is example for formic components. Here you need a field and you need an form and formic and error message. Actually, they have one more technique generally is formic also provides form properties. Formic also provides form properties. What is the advantage of form properties? So formic provides form properties. Generally, form properties are used to know the status of form. That is good. They have one additional concept also. They will provide the form status. Form status is like, generally we have form status. Form status means, suppose here, you see here, if anything is invalid, I clicked here. I'm not typing anything and click outside, it shows. That's good. That means, remember, this component is not just using submit, it is using on change, it is using on blur. You remembered I told you this also, manually we written on blur, we written on change. This already working, it's binded. All features are binded. You just need name. You just need a form component with name. This I already showed you all this manual. That means I showed you, if you remembered, on focus, on blur, it can verify and show the details. On change, it can verify the details, right? So this is doing. Now very important, if any field is invalid, I should not able to submit the register. That means I need to disable register. So register should be disabled. So until all fields are valid. If any one field is invalid, it should be disabled. You cannot submit. How do you know that status? Is complete form valid or not? How to know that status? Such things you can manage by using form properties. Form properties are used to know the status of form. But question is how to collect them. Generally, how do you collect the properties? You can access form properties from form component. We can access from form component. How to access from form component? C. Actually, how you designed earlier syntax, you designed formic. In the formic, you mentioned what values initial values. You mentioned validation, schema, and you mentioned on submit. Like this you define. Now inside this, what you have to do? So formic. So inside this, you created a form. You created a form directly. But what we can do is we can collect the return of form. How to collect the return of form? We can declare properties which will return the form. Understood? We can write like this. What is this? This is nothing but this is a callback function. This function is using the form and returning the result of form into properties. That means whatever happenings in the form, those are returned into these properties, into those properties. Generally, what a form may return to properties? Form will return to properties like it have options, properties like is it valid or not? Is it invalid or not? It is like, it can be like, so props, it is like touched or not. Usually we call some options like pristine. Is it pristine or not? Pristine means untouched. For example, you see in some websites, they give edit details. That means you can open the details in edit view, and what you can do the modification. After doing the modification, you have to save. They will not give the save button until anything is modified. That means save button will be there, but save button will not be highlighted until any modification happened. Now the question, how you know form modified or not? How you know form modified or not? Modified or not means any one field is modified. For that, it provides properties like pristine. Pristine means form is not modified. It is true means it is not modified. False means it is modified. What is advantage of getting the form properties? So we can control the interaction with the form. We can control the interaction with the form. That is very important. For example, see now, let's do a little change in this design now. The design is nothing but, let's go here, this form, this entire form, here we are giving a simple, what is it? Props implies that form. That means this props is going to return the result of this form. It is going to return the result of that form. Now we can use those properties anywhere. Suppose in this button, I am using an option called disabled. Here we are using props. I am accessing props dot. You can see so many options are there. So we have the fields like what? We have the option like dirty. Dirty means it is not pristine. Not pristine means dirty. That means it is modified. It have like valid. That means we have is valid, is invalid. So you can use is valid, like is invalid, like this. So you can add these properties. Now what is the point? Now can you tell me how to disable this? Disabled must be true. That means how we can manage that? We have to access props dot what? Is valid. That means I am adding here not is valid. Not is valid means what? Invalid. That means it is invalid. You have disabled. That means here you can see the form here. I clicked in username, click outside. It is disabled now. It's not working. That means the register button will not work until the form is valid. That means I'm entering username. So now you can see here, it is not there. Why? Because again, you have to write the condition. What is it? Is valid, is invalid. You have to change dynamically. We learned, right? How we can change any property dynamically. This valid must be changed to invalid. That means you see here again, what is that? Age is 22, mobile is something. So, and this city, now it is working. Why? Because remember, valid means not just one field. It have to verify all fields. If all fields are valid, then only it will enable. If any one field is invalid, then it will be disabled. It may not show you error message because form is not showing error message. Form is showing only, form is verifying only whether it is valid or invalid. If any field returns invalid, automatically it will disable the register form. Disable that. Actual, now what happens here? Suppose I entered, now it is working fine. Working fine. That is basic thing. That means this is how we can configure valid or invalid. This is properties is valid. They have a lot of methods like that. They have options like dirty. Dirty means, for example, you see there is a button and this button is save. This save button must be enabled only when any modification happened. Any modification happened. That means you see currently save button is also working. Save button should be disabled and it should be disabled. Any modification happened, then only it should be enabled. Then what we do here is we will put disabled. Disabled depends on what is it? Properties, props dot what? Dirty. Dirty means it is modified. Modified. When it should be disabled, if it is not modified, disabled. If it is not modified, disabled. Not modified is called as pristine. We call that state as pristine. Pristine means not touched, not modified. Dirty means modified. Right now we have to handle. Now I entered some name. Now save works. Because we are doing some modification, then automatically save works. But register not working because still it is invalid. You have to fill up all the fields and satisfy. Now it will work. It will work. Any modification happened or not? So is it valid or not? That you can do by using this technique. Actually, based on that, so a lot of queries are given. So what is that here? The formic properties, major properties here. So we have props dot what is valid. It will return true or false. We have like props dot what dirty. It will return true or false. These are the properties. Dirty means what? Modified. Modified. That means, so this is valid means all fields are valid. All fields are valid, then valid. If it is modified, then this is dirty. So if not modified, then it is called as pristine. We call that as pristine. Remember, this is not just for this colors, effects, because in real world requirements, so many things are done. Suppose entire form color should be red color. So if it is invalid, entire form color should turn to red background. Then how you will apply? That means here you need to apply some colors. That means dynamically applying classes already we learned. I showed you not dark theme. Remembered? We changed the complete form appearance. Such effects are applied here for the forms. That means, for example, we have class name. What is the class name? This class name is dynamically defined. Dynamically defined. So based on a property, suppose we say props dot is valid. Props dot is valid. That means here we used not valid. Not valid, or say props valid. If it is valid, then what should be the class name? Question mark. The class name is BG success. If not, what is the class name? BG danger. Like this, we define the options. These are dynamic classes. I'm just showing the concept. Right? That means if here you are entering that this is, and you clicked and click outside, this is invalid. The entire appearance changes for that. Now you entered the name. So you entered the name, still it is invalid. You entered mobile details. Now this is fine. You can change complete appearance. That depends on this valid or not. I just applied bootstrap class. You can create your own classes and apply. You can configure. Already we learned how do we manage dynamic classes, right? This is example for properties. This is the example for properties. Formic provides a lot of such things you can use. It's a big library. You can learn for about only Formic for 1 month if you want. So much is there about Formic. But everybody doesn't require everything what they provide. We need only certain things of that. That we use. That means you can learn every third party like a React class. Every third party has a lot of things. You can learn for about a grid or a charts like components for 5 days, 1 week. So many things are involved in that. We pick up and use only what is necessary for our requirement and we explore that. Because when they design a very professional component like which is popularly used in companies, then they have to address all requirement issues. That's the reason they have a lot of things, right? We have to implement and use them. This is all how we can handle validation. We will use this with backend in the next level. That means we will create database tables, server side logic, and we will create a registration form. User submits the form and validates first. If all validation passed, then store in the database. All such things we can implement by using end-to-end integration concept. This is all you should know about the concept of forms in React. Right? I showed you all the techniques, means without third party how to handle, with the third party how to handle. But I showed you only one third party. Others you need to explore by yourself, right? Next, after knowing this, now we will go into another major concept, that is routing. Routing in React. This is another major thing you need to understand. What is routing, how this routing works, right? That's the key concept in developing single page applications actually. So what is the concept of routing? Let's see. Means what is the basic point, basic idea of this routing? Generally one important thing you know is, usually when we develop applications, actually every web application, so every web application comprises and uses various techniques. Every web application comprises and uses various techniques, comprises of various techniques, right? That is enough. Every web application contains various techniques. Some techniques already you learned. What are those techniques? You learned like data binding is a technique. So we have model binding is a technique. We have event binding is a technique. So style binding is a technique. And class binding is a technique. Class binding is a technique. These are all different techniques. We have techniques like caching. We have techniques like routing. These all comes under the techniques. We have techniques like state management, state management. All these are web technologies related techniques. A web application involves lot of techniques. Security will be there. Caching, routing, class binding, event binding, style binding. If anybody asks what is routing, routing is a technique used in web applications. What is the purpose of this technique? So technically, what is the purpose of this technique is nothing but routing is a technique of web applications to create and configure, you can create or configure user friendly and SEO friendly URLs. SEO friendly URLs. That is the main purpose. Routing is a technique. This routing technique is used in web applications to create or configure user-friendly URLs, SEO-friendly URLs. We can create user-friendly URLs, SEO-friendly URLs by using what? Routing. Actually, what is meant by user-friendly URL? User-friendly URL. I will tell you that point first. User-friendly URL is nothing but generally, so an URL without routing looks like this. Without routing, URLs usually look like this. So we have www.amazon.in/ some electronics.php JSP something question mark. We have category is equal to some mobiles, and in that ampersand some brand is equal to some Realme, something like this. That is how the URL looks like. This is the URL, so which is for accessing the mobiles, some Realme mobiles. That is how the URL is. Now, actually, so this is little bit complex to read. This is complex to visit it again. We need to bookmark. Generally, if you want this page again, we need to bookmark. What routing can do is, it can simplify that. That means it is www.amazon.in in that electronics, in that mobiles, in that Realme. This is how routing looks like. This is more simplified. This is user-friendly URL. This is not just user-friendly URL, this is SEO-friendly. Search engines also can identify exactly what you are currently looking at. That means they can easily pick up what you are looking at. I hope you have seen, for example, you are visiting some website on your mobile, like Amazon. You searched for some products. After that, close. You went to YouTube or Facebook. Suddenly, you will find advertisements for them. Right? How come that application exactly knows what I have searched? That means it is not just which website I used, it is exactly which product I used. Because remember, in a page, what he is watching, picking up that information is not easy. Earlier, what we have to do in general HTML, we have to use a lot of intra-document navigation. Intra-document navigation means, I hope you know, in HTML we use hash, am I right? In the URL, intra-document navigation, to know exactly where they are in that page. But now routing simplifies that. Earlier, we don't have this routing concept, right? Web technology started using routing from past few years. After technologies like Angular, React and all, we started using. Before Angular also, we have routing. Actually, routing is configured. Routing is configured both server side and client side. Actually, earlier we used to use lot of routing server side. Now this became popular with this front end Angular and React in the front end also. Server side we have routing already. Several years back we started using routing server side. So .NET, JSP, PHP like Ruby like technologies, they used in the backend server side routing. Node.js also uses routing APIs. All these are done server side. But now we are using client side also. React, Angular like technologies are implementing this client side. So it becomes very simple. Not only that, another important is actually routing implicitly. So routing implicitly enables navigation for single page application. The nature of single page application you can achieve by using this routing. What is the nature of single page application? The nature of single page application is nothing but user can stay on one page and can access everything onto the page. That is single page. This is possible because of routing. So routing is the primary concept required for designing single page application. You want to create a single page application, then routing plays the key role. It plays the key role. So actually what happens is routing implicitly uses AJAX. It implicitly uses AJAX. That means what is the advantage of using AJAX? Implicitly it uses AJAX. That means so without reloading the complete page, new details are added to page. How this is possible? There must be some AJAX behind it. That means if you want to bring any new details into page have to reload. Without reloading the page, you are bringing new details into page. That means there might be some AJAX happening in the background. And routing uses AJAX. Routing internally uses AJAX. By using AJAX, can we build a single page application with JavaScript jQuery? Else. By using JavaScript jQuery also we can build single page application. But JavaScript jQuery uses a lot of explicit AJAX. In JavaScript jQuery also, without navigating out from the page, you can bring new details into page. I hope you have done that while learning jQuery and all. If you know jQuery, you have jQuery AJAX. We can build a single page application. What we do by using explicit AJAX calls, we can bring another component into the current. That is done by using lot of AJAX. But for that, we have a separate library now. That means these front-end technologies introduce new libraries for that, But one big headache is there with React. The big headache with React is routing versions are not stable. One of the major problem, React, that is why one drawback people generally say, if you ask generally anybody, what are the drawbacks of React? One major thing they will tell that pace of development is very fast. And poor documentations. Pace of development and poor documentations, these are the major issues you have to face while dealing with React. Pace of development means by the time you finish knowing about a component, in that new things will come. By the time you finish, the new things will come. Actually, React started officially in 2014. Now it is 2023, 6 years or 7 years, 8 years. Now 18 versions. Every year, 3-4 versions will come. By the time you finish your React, one more minor release will come. Right? One more minor releases will happen. Some changes will happen. And one problem is even official website don't have a good documentation for reference. That means even official website don't have a clean documentation of what is removed, what is newly added. Now it is developer's headache. You do your research. You know about yourself. That is all very risky with React. So that is very one bigger problem. And very important is actually React routing. React provides routing library. So which is not as a part of React core library. So it is completely separately developed. Current React version is what? Current React version is 18. But actually React routing version is 6. It is 6 only. It's a complete different, independently developed library. Now, when you bring it into React, certain issues will come if you are mismatching the library versions. Actually, up to React version 17. That means up to 17. Version up to 17. So routing version was 5. That means even today, 95% websites for React, they will show you old technique of routing in their tutorials, which will fail when you try in new version. Because very recently from 18 onwards, they changed complete routing library. Complete library changed. That means not some updates, they changed complete library itself. That means so almost 80% of routing changed in the new version. That's the reason people who know routing in React older versions, they feel new in routing of 18 version. Because routing is completely changed. Remember, routing doesn't changes regularly. You imagine React version is 18 and routing version is still 6 means. That means every time they don't change routing. Very rarely they change routing, and recently they done that. That means at least for 3-4 years, one time they update routing. So that means now recently they done that with what? React 18. So as a React developer, you must have idea about 2 versions of routing, because you will learn 18 version and go to companies, they don't work. It will not work there. Why? Because their routing version is different. Their routing version up to React 17, all React projects are using version 5 routing, which is completely changed from 18 onwards. From 18 onwards, which version of routing is there? Version 6. Remember this point, because in some interviews they may ask for recent people. They will ask like, what is the routing version of React? Because routing and React are not simultaneously developed. So routing is separately developed. So that is the reason some changes in the routing and your version compatibility issues will come. You need to make sure that you are using the same concept here, right? Now, how to and that means, is React readily available to use routing? No. It is not readily available to use routing. So we have to separately install library. That depends. One of the main advantages is you should note that React 18 is backward compatible. It is backward compatible. Backward compatible means in React 18, you can use version 5 routing also. You can install old version routing in React 18 and you can try. That means React 18 supports both latest as well as old. That is important. And actually, React router, this is separate library actually. This is React.js org. This is official React. In this React, you see, I am searching for routing. I am searching for routing. You can see here, there is no official routing related any library. I searched for React routing and there is nothing related to that. That means no help on React routing here. This is routing. This is routing I am searching. I am searching routing and nothing is coming. It is official website of React and there is no information about routing. But single page application routing is important. That is the primary thing in navigation. Then why React people don't provide anything about routing? That means here nothing information about routing. Why? Because it is a separate library. That library is React. Actually, this is React router library. This is React router library. We have a separate React router library. This is React router library. This is a separate React router library. And see, this is version 6. And recently it changed again. Recently it is 6.4. And very important is now some more changes will be there in this. And if you want, you can go with older version also. That means they will provide you support with older version. Where is it? Some version they may given, right? Where? You see upgrading from version 5. That means if you are using older version, you can upgrade from that to this. This is version 5. That means how to upgrade from version 5 to version 6. They will show you all the process here. So as a React developer, so majority of the companies that you work, they will be using routing 5. But first we will learn routing 6, then I will show you differences with routing 5. Because currently when you install routing, latest will install. We can install a old version also, but when you install old version, compatibility changes will come. You need, I will just explain difference. In old version, how to write, in new version, how do we write, right? That means we have to learn 2 versions of routing. Version 5, another version 6, right? That we'll see how to deal with that. We'll see tomorrow. Right, in tomorrow's session, we will install routing and all, and we will see how to create a simple single page application. We will take a template example. We will try to design the template with the help of routing. So tomorrow we will design a simple example with routing. First, we will see with version 6, then we will go with version 5. Right, I will explain both versions. Okay, right. Already we done on something else. Like tell me the situation. Remember, validation is not related to validation.